Imagine a tiny, totally isolated rock just sitting there in the middle of the ocean.
Right. Middle of nowhere.
Yeah. No oil, no gold, not even an indigenous population.
Nothing.
I mean, logically, this place should be a disaster, right? It should be the absolute poorest place on Earth.
It has every disadvantage you could possibly think of.
But instead, it is a total economic miracle. Like, it destroys everything we think we know about success.
It really does. It flips the standard narrative completely upside down.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We are unpacking a genuinely mind-blowing research paper by Jeffrey Frankel on Mauritius. Our mission today is to figure out how this totally doomed island hacked the global system to become an African powerhouse.
And we're going to reverse engineer this miracle so you can actually apply these insane lessons to your own life or business.
Because honestly, looking at the data, I am in absolute shock. I mean, let's open the destiny blind box here. Can a barren island actually beat a continent full of diamonds and oil?
You wouldn't think so.
Right. Look at the map. It's a tiny dot, 0 natural resources. But the numbers are just crazy. From 1970 to 2010, their per capita output grew 5.4% a year, every single year.
Which is a massive outlier.
By 2010, income hit $7,000. I mean, this is a massive slap in the face to resource-rich nations. It feels entirely unfair. It literally makes you question everything you know about wealth.
It's the classic resource curse, but in reverse. Usually, countries with oil or diamonds suffer massive corruption because the wealth is so easy to steal.
Wait, like starting a game of Monopoly with literally no money and no properties, but you still somehow win the whole game? How is that mathematically possible?
Because Mauritius had absolutely nothing to steal. So the elite couldn't just build a fence around a gold mine.
Yeah.
They had to actually build a functioning economy.
But building wasn't obvious. I mean, the smartest people on Earth looked at them and said they would crash and burn.
Oh, yeah. The predictions were brutal.
Why did a literal Nobel Prize winner guarantee their absolute failure?
So meet James Meade. Brilliant economic mind. He looked at Mauritius in 1961, and he predicted total disaster.
Total collapse.
Exactly. And the famous author V.S. Naipaul totally agreed. They looked at the island and saw way too many people. Massive unemployment.
And a complete reliance on one single volatile crop. Right. Sugar.
Just sugar. Plus, violently explosive ethnic tension. The experts were brutally pessimistic. They literally wrote off an entire nation.
We usually trust Nobel laureates, you know. But history loves a good joke. The experts were completely wrong. So let me ask you, the listener, if the absolute smartest person in your field said your project was totally doomed, would you quit?
Most people would. But you have to realize it wasn't actually a bad prediction. The initial conditions really were that awful.
They just somehow pulled off a brilliant, totally unexpected survival.
Exactly. And to understand why everyone thought they were doomed, we have to look at the map again. Because distance is a killer.
Seriously. Is being far from your customers an automatic death sentence?
Usually, yes. Mauritius is insanely isolated. Like, it ranks alongside the tiny islands of the South Pacific as one of the most remote places on Earth.
Markets are thousands and thousands of miles away. The shipping costs alone should just bleed them dry.
Distance creates friction in trade. It's the gravity model of economics.
This level of isolation feels claustrophobic to me. Like, it's terrifying if you're trying to run a business. Remoteness destroys economies.
But Mauritius shattered this curse. Their international trade eventually makes up 2/3 of their entire economy.
Wait, what? That's like opening a coffee shop in the middle of the Sahara Desert, but you somehow have a line wrapped around the block. How?
Well, physical distance just doesn't matter if you create irresistible value. They literally traded their way out of isolation.
But distance wasn't even their biggest problem, right? The people on the island actively hated each other.
Yeah, the social structure was deeply unstable.
Can a deeply divided society actually avoid tearing itself apart? Look at their population. It is a completely fractured pie chart.
You have Hindus, Muslims, Creoles, Franco-Mauritians, Sino-Mauritians.
Just extreme fragmentation. And this usually breeds war. In 1968, riots actually broke out in the streets. Blood was spilled.
Which is the ultimate red flag for development.
It's heartbreaking. It's a literal ticking time bomb. I mean, diversity is beautiful, but extreme fragmentation in a brand new, super poor nation usually guarantees a civil war. They should have destroyed each other.
The economic models say they absolutely should have.
But they didn't. So how do you get people who are literally rioting in the streets to suddenly hold hands and build a country together?
It's incredible. This fragmented structure is considered the absolute worst for development.
Yeah.
But they found a way to perfectly balance the power.
But to understand this explosive mix of people, we have to talk about a really dark history. Did globalization start with prosperity or pure evil?
Oh, it was pure exploitation. Let's go back in time. The Dutch arrived first.
Right.
They chopped down all the precious ebony trees. They hunted the dodo bird to total extinction, just completely stripped the island.
And then the French show up, and they brought the absolute horror of slavery. They built massive sugar plantations entirely on human suffering.
It was globalization at its absolute worst.
It is sickening. It makes your blood boil just thinking about it. We think of globalization as like fiber optics and free trade. Here, it was pure robbery and enslavement.
Yeah, the early colonizers treated the island as a pure extraction node.
It's like corporate raiders who buy a company, strip all its assets, and then just burn the building down for the insurance money.
Exactly. And this brutal era left a really deep scar. It established the sugar economy, but at a horrific moral cost.
So what happens when slavery finally ends? The sugar barons face a massive problem. Who is going to work the fields?
And that leads to the massive human experiment. Slavery was officially abolished in 1835.
Right. And the freed slaves refused to work for their old masters, obviously.
Of course. So the plantations totally panicked. They needed a desperate alternative.
So what happens when 500,000 strangers suddenly arrive on a tiny island?
The British and French brought in 500,000 indentured laborers from India. From 1849 to 1923, ship after ship just dumped them on the docks.
That is a staggering human experiment. It completely rewrote the DNA of the whole island.
Yeah.
You can't just replace an entire workforce overnight without massive chaos?
No, you can't. And this influx forever changed their destiny.
But wait, was this just slavery rebranded under a new name?
Well, it's a critical distinction. Life on those plantations was incredibly hard, brutal even. But the laborers actually chose to sign those contracts.
Because the alternative was worse.
Right. They chose it over starvation and famine back in India. But this massive migration is exactly what created the ethnic powder keg we saw earlier.
So fast forward to the 1960s. Independence is coming. The workers finally want their revenge. This is the ultimate crossroads. Why didn't the oppressed workers just steal back the land?
Because the Indian-dominated Labor Party takes power. And they are furious.
They ran on a socialist platform, right? They planned to confiscate the wealthy French sugar estates. It's payback time.
That was the expectation.
Yeah.
But suddenly, they stop.
They abandon nationalization entirely. They actively protect the property rights of their former oppressors. This choice is mind-blowing to me.
It requires superhuman restraint.
The poor finally get all the power, and they decide not to eat the rich. I mean, this restraint is what saved them from total collapse.
It goes against every political instinct.
It's like catching the person who robbed your house, and instead of calling the cops, you decide to start a business with them. Like, why?
Because it was the defining moment for their future. By not seizing the land, they proved to the entire world that they respected the rule of law.
Oh, so investors took notice.
Exactly. Capital requires certainty. And they made another shocking choice right after independence. They totally refused to buy guns.
Right. Why did a country born in violent riots refuse to build an army? Like, look at their defense budget. It is basically zero. Just 0.45% of their economic output.
The African average at the time was way, way higher.
We literally have no standing army at all. It sounds terrifyingly naive.
It does.
It feels incredibly reckless. I mean, a fragile, divided, newly independent nation needs a strong military to keep order, right?
That's the common sense approach, yeah.
Wrong. No army meant no military coups. But wait, what if someone attacks? What if the ethnic riots start again? Are they just, like, relying on good vibes?
No, it's actually genius. By saving all that money on weapons and tanks, they had hard cash for other things. And critically, without generals couldn't overthrow the civilian government.
Wow. Okay, but if you have no military to keep the peace, how do you stop the different ethnic groups from literally fighting each other?
You hack the voting system.
You hack the voting system. Let's talk about the genius of the best loser. Can a system where the losers win actually save a country?
Well, democracy is usually winner takes all, right?
Right.
And that absolutely terrifies minorities. They fear being permanently crushed by the majority. So Mauritius invented this crazy rule.
The top candidates in a district win, normally. But then, the system actively looks for the best losers.
Yes. It gives 8 extra seats in parliament to the highest voted candidates from the minority groups that lost.
It is incredibly clever. It just feels deeply fair. I mean, rewarding the losers sounds completely backwards,
It totally subverts normal democracy.
but it guarantees everyone gets a slice of the pie. It's like giving out a participation trophy, but one that actually stops the Civil War. Does this mean nobody is ever truly out of power?
Exactly. It forces compromise. You
Mhm.
legally can't exclude anyone. This weird rule created absolutely bulletproof political stability.
Okay, so with peace finally secured at home, they turned to making money. And they completely ignored all the standard rules of
They
economics.
executed what the research calls the reverse operation.
How do you get rich from free trade while simultaneously blocking foreign goods? We are always told free trade makes countries rich.
Right. Drop your tariffs, open your borders.
But Mauritius was highly protected. They slapped massive tariffs on imports. We're talking over 100%.
They built a fortress around their local market.
Yet they completely boomed because they created an export processing zone, a totally separate tax-free track just for factories.
It's brilliant hypocrisy.
It really is. It is so sneaky, you just have to respect it. They were an incredibly closed economy that somehow became an export powerhouse. They played both sides.
They really did.
Wait, so they kept their own markets totally locked down but demanded open access to everyone else's markets? How did they get away with that?
It was a dual-track system. They protected local jobs with the tariffs, while at the exact same time luring foreign factories with tax-free zones for exports. It broke all the economic rules, but it worked perfectly.
So they built this special zone, but who actually funded it? Because the answer here is a massive plot twist.
Everyone assumes foreign money builds factories in poor nations.
Right, borrowing a hen to lay eggs. Who really funded the Mauritian industrial boom? Everyone thinks foreign saviors swooped in.
Chinese businessmen from Hong Kong did arrive, and they brought the ideas. They brought the advanced textile machines.
But look at the actual money flow. Foreigners only accounted for 12% of the jobs. Local Mauritians owned 50% of the equity.
It's a great plot twist. Local money was the real hero.
The narrative is always, foreign capital builds poor nations? Not here. The local sugar barons used their own cash to fund the new factories.
Because their property rights were protected, they had the capital to invest locally.
It's like hiring a famous Michelin star chef to design your menu, but you own the restaurant and you keep all the profit.
Exactly. The Chinese brought the know-how. The locals brought the capital. It was an absolute masterclass in copying ideas to build domestic wealth.
But having factories is useless if nobody buys your shirts or your sugar. They needed a diplomatic masterstroke.
And they pulled off the ultimate diplomatic arbitrage.
Why would you sign a long-term fixed contract when prices are hitting record highs? It's 1975. World sugar prices absolutely explode. Everyone is cashing in on the spot market.
Making a fortune overnight.
But Mauritius totally refuses. They sign a treaty with Europe instead. They lock in a massive, guaranteed quota at Europe's internal price.
Which was artificially inflated by European farmers.
It looks like the dumbest financial mistake ever. You just want to scream at them to take the easy money. Committing to a locked system during a boom defies human greed.
It does. But booms always bust.
And when global prices crashed, Mauritius just kept making a fortune. Is this just insane luck or the greatest hedge fund style trade in national history?
It's pure strategy. The European farmers kept domestic prices high, and Mauritius just piggybacked on that. They turned a trade privilege into literal mountains of hard cash.
Okay, so now they're absolutely drowning in sugar cash. Usually this destroys a country.
The resource curse again?
Right. How do you survive a massive pile of free money? Resource wealth usually breeds horrific corruption. Leaders steal the rents, they buy golden palaces.
But Mauritius did the exact opposite.
They funneled the massive sugar profits straight into the government treasury, and then they bought free education for everyone.
Universal, free schooling.
This level of foresight brings tears to your eyes. It is pure, beautiful leadership. Giving away free schooling in a poor country sounds like financial suicide.
But literacy skyrocketed to 87%.
It's like winning the mega lottery and putting every single penny into your kid's college fund instead of buying a Ferrari.
Economists call this rent cycling. They took a temporary lucky windfall and permanently upgraded their human capital.
But the good times never last. A massive global crisis hit in the late 70s, and they had to take some brutal medicine.
The oil crisis changed everything.
Would you voluntarily destroy your own currency to save your future? The global oil crisis hits, debt explodes everywhere.
Most countries borrow desperately just to pretend everything is fine.
But Mauritius stops pretending. They take the IMF's brutal deal. They intentionally devalue their own currency by 20 to 30%, twice.
It's a shocking sacrifice.
It is financial self-mutilation. Governments hate dropping their currency value. It makes them look weak. But this aggressive, painful cut instantly restored their competitive edge.
It made their exports incredibly cheap globally.
But wait, didn't this instantly make every single citizen poorer overnight? Like, imports suddenly cost way more? How did the politicians not get dragged into the streets by an angry mob?
The pain was very real, and the ruling party actually lost the next election because of it. But the political system, that best loser democracy, was stable enough to handle the anger peacefully. The factories roared back to life.
So they survived the 70s, but decades later, a much, much worse disaster struck. The bolt from the blue.
2004 was a nightmare.
What happens when your two biggest advantages vanish literally overnight? The year is 2004. The global textile quota system completely ends. Cheap Chinese goods flood the entire world.
And at the exact same time, Europe ends the special sugar privileges.
Textile output plummets 30%. Jobs vanish. The deficit explodes. It is absolute devastation. It feels incredibly cruel. Everyone just assumes Mauritius is finally dead.
They lost all their core privileges at once. The Nobel laureates' doom was finally coming true.
It's like getting fired from your job and your house burning down on the exact same day. How do you even get out of bed the next morning?
The dual shock was severe. The foundational pillars of their miracle were totally shattered. They needed a radical pivot.
So what did the factories do? They bought roller skates.
Yes. Nirvana from the ruins.
Can a textile factory actually beat China using robots and roller skates? They didn't surrender to low-wage countries. They evolved.
Look at the CMK factory, for example.
They brought in brilliant new management. They highly automated the entire spinning process. The factory floor is huge.
Yeah.
Workers literally use roller skates to glide between robotic machines.
It's sci-fi level adaptation.
It is incredibly badass. Trying to beat China in textiles in 2006 sounds impossible, but by integrating the supply chain for insane speed, they actually won.
Because fashion brands need really fast reactions now. Fast fashion.
Wait, roller skates? Are you kidding me?
What?
Does speed really beat cheap labor?
It does. Mauritius couldn't be the cheapest anymore, so they just became the fastest and the smartest.
But the government also had to pivot. They had a massive deficit, so they decided to run the country like a startup.
The 2006 reshaping.
Can slashing taxes to 15% actually eliminate a national deficit? The government is bleeding money. The normal instinct is to tax the rich, to raise rates everywhere.
Right, panic and tax?
They do the exact opposite. They introduce a massive, bold Business Facilitation Act. They slash individual and corporate taxes to a flat 15%.
And they make doing business incredibly easy.
It is an adrenaline shot straight to the heart of the economy. It is wildly bold. Cutting taxes during a deficit crisis sounds insane.
But business boomed so hard, the primary deficit dropped to near zero.
It's like a store going bankrupt, so they cut prices by 80% and suddenly make record profits just on the sheer volume of customers.
That's the flat tax magic. By making the rules dead simple, they lured immense investment and destroyed all the red tape.
With the rules simplified, they needed a brand new industry. Sugar is dead, manufacturing is shrinking. They looked across the ocean to India.
Finding the new pillar.
How do you become the financial toll booth between two massive continents? They look at Singapore's model. They decide to become the financial bridge between Africa and Asia.
And they leverage an old double taxation treaty with India.
It is incredibly opportunistic. It is pure strategic genius. A tiny African island becomes the largest foreign investor into India. It sounds completely absurd.
The money just flows through them.
But wait, isn't this just a giant tax loophole? What happens if India wakes up and closes the loophole?
It is a major vulnerability, and they know it. Relying on tax treaties is super risky.
So what's the backup plan?
They're also building luxury tourism, IT hubs, and a massive seafood industry. They refuse to be a one-trick pony ever again.
As we look back at this insane journey, a crazy pattern emerges about Africa's top countries. And this is the ultimate answer.
This is the most fascinating part of the research.
Why are the top 3 best-governed countries in Africa all barren islands? Look at the top of the governance rankings. Number 1, Mauritius. Number 2, Seychelles. Number 3, Cape Verde.
What do they share?
None of them had an indigenous population. Everyone who lives there came from somewhere else. This realization literally gives you goosebumps. It changes how you view the world.
It really challenges our assumptions.
We always assume ancient native roots make a strong, stable country. But here, Having zero native history was the ultimate advantage.
It's the immigrant theory of development.
It's exactly like a startup. Is it easier to build a company culture from scratch in a garage than to try and merge three old, angry companies together?
Exactly. There are no children of the soil to resent newcomers. Everyone had to build a shared identity from absolute zero. Nobody had a prior, ancient claim to the land.
They just had to figure it out together. Which brings us to the final mirror of history.
Are we repeating the fatal mistakes that Mauritius managed to avoid?
Look around today. Globalization is going backwards. Countries are closing their borders. We are becoming more and more divided.
Raising tariffs, building walls.
But Mauritius survived by doing the exact opposite. They embraced the world. They legally forced their ethnic groups to share power. They invested their windfalls entirely into their children's brains.
It is a profound wake-up call for modern democracies.
We are forgetting the basic rules of survival. We think walls make us safe. Mauritius proved that radical inclusion and education are the only real shields. Look at your own business or your community right now. Are you building walls, or are you creating a best loser system where everyone actually gets a seat at the table?
The core lessons are clear. Flexible institutions, extreme investments in education, and turning diversity into a cosmopolitan advantage.
If being a nation entirely of immigrants is the ultimate cheat code for economic miracles and political stability, what does that mean for countries today that are aggressively slamming their borders shut? Keep questioning the common sense around you. We'll see you next time.